Hey guys, Michael the Comic Nerd here. Okay, so this has been a long time coming because it's like just the beginning of February, and I'm here to talk about the best of 2014 because, I finally got to get around to doing this. Actually, this would have been done and out by now, but I fucked up on the... me and Grant were originally supposed to do this, and we spent like 2 hours on it. We recorded the whole damn thing. And then I, like an idiot, accidentally deleted the footage from my camera because I wasn't paying attention, and I deleted it from my camera before I can get on my computer, so like, fuck, so now we gotta re-record it. I feel like Grant just messaged me now. So I was like, shit, what are we gonna do? Me and Grant were supposed to re-record it last weekend, but I had to catch up on some other movies. The reviews of which will probably be out before I get this on there, that I needed to get done, so that didn't happen. So, and then Grant's working on a project that I'm not sure I can talk about, but he's being an extra in a big Hollywood movie, so I figured, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna do this by myself. So, that means this video will probably be shorter than the original one was, which is probably for the best. And then if Grant wants to, he can, we'll record him with his own list of the movies he liked. So, I'm not going to do anything fancy with this. I'm just going to do off the cuff, say whatever the hell I want, go down the list. I have it on my laptop, which I always have next to me. In case you were curious, by the way, of what my setup is. I got my laptop right there and my headlamp right there that I use for lighting. It's not great stuff, but hey, if you're ever curious of how exactly I do this shit, there you go. Anyway, so I'm going to stop wasting time and let's get started. Here are my top 10 movies of 2014, starting with number 10, which is the Lego Movie. Okay, the Lego Movie is just one of those movies. I actually just rewatched this again recently. It came right the hell out of nowhere. I mean, we all heard it was coming, but just when the first trailer came out, we were just like, it cannot be this good, because it looked really good. It was like, it cannot possibly be that good, because it's the Lego Movie. It's the fucking Lego Movie. It's like making Hot Wheels movie. You don't expect it to be good. You just expect it to be just cheap cash-in, but my god, this movie was just so much fun, so much imagination, and so much creativity. Just great voice work, great premise, by the way. And I will probably go on over a little bit of spoilers here. I know I'm gonna try to avoid spoilers, but my god, this movie was just so much fun, and I just cannot remember a comedy or an animated movie that made me laugh this hard. I mean, I almost gave this to How I Trained Your Dragon 2, because, like, I really, really like that movie, too. I thought it was great. I love what it did with How I Trained Your Dragon 2, so I guess you can kind of have this runner-up. But in the end of the day, as far as anime movie I enjoyed the most, I had to give it to the Lego Movie, because I just had such a damn good time, and it makes me laugh every time I watch it. It has that great sense of nostalgia and creativity and just so much going on all the time that you can watch it again and again and again. You just catch stuff in the background you didn't see before. It's one of those great comedies that I think will possibly stand like a test of time. I don't know if Legos will ever really die off, but for the now, it's really good. So, yeah, that's a Lego Movie. So, number 9. Captain America, the Winter Soldier. This is, to me, personally, this was easily the best Marvel movie of last year. And we had a lot of them. We had a fair amount of them, too. We had, like, we had X-Men, we had Guardians of the Galaxy, which came really close to beating this. And, of course, we have Captain America 2, and we got more shit coming out. What other Marvel movies? Well, they're maybe not Marvel movies, but there were comic book movies last year that came out. But anyway, I went with Captain America 2 because, in my opinion, as fun as Guardians of the Galaxy was, and I did really, really like Guardians of the Galaxy, this one I felt had more interesting things going on. I thought it had better drama. I thought, I don't know about better characters, but their characters you're already familiar with take it in a very interesting direction. Like Scarlett Johansson, for example. I think they did a lot with the Black Widow character in the movie that was really great. You had the Falcon, who was also great. And, of course, you had the Winter Soldier, who was just so damn terrifying as a villain. And I love that. I love that so much. I love the fact that he's like the closest thing Marvel has to Terminator in Marvel movie universe. Like, whenever he is on screen, he has such this big presence. And it's legitimately scary. And even like the other villain, Alexander Pierce, I mean, the Hydra taking over the world kind of thing, it's not something we haven't seen it done a million times before. But like I said before, that doesn't mean we shouldn't talk about it when it's done well. And Alexander Pierce is a character where, you know, played by Robert Redford. It's Robert Redford in a movie. I don't think he really cares. But he plays it kind of this nonchalant way, and for some reason it works into this just pretentious prick of a character. Just there's something fun. There's something about his performance, despite the cliche nature of it, that makes it fun to watch. But overall, it's good because like it's a game changer for the Marvel Universe. Not only in just what happens in the movie, but in the way the movie's presented itself. This is the first Marvel movie that's presented not as a straight-up superhero movie, but as a thriller. Like a political conspiracy thriller. And it just has a ton of fun with that concept. And it was great they took Captain America in that direction, too. Because, like, after the first movie went for, like, the campy B-movie war film, this is much more, not only was a change necessary, but it really worked. And I loved it to death. I thought it was awesome. The action was great. There was so much going on. Like, you blink and you miss something awesome. Especially, like, the fight with Captain America and Winter Soldier towards the end. Not the one in the climax. Like, the one in the midway point. I thought, when they're just trying to straight up kill each other, I thought was fantastic. And so, yeah, obviously I really like this movie. The Falcon, while not used as much as he should have been, was still fun to watch. I am really curious to see what they'll do with it for, Captain America 3. I don't know, I'm not sure. Very briefly, I'll talk about my opinion about the fact they're going to Civil War. It's like, I think if they keep it to the Captain America movies, I think it can work okay, because I trust the writers of the one. Like, I'm assuming the same. I don't know if the brothers who directed Captain America 2 are coming back for 3. I think they are, but I can't confirm that off the top of my head. Let me know in the comments what it is. But I feel like if they're in charge of it, they can make it work. Because Captain America 2 had a lot going on, and they made it work. So I have faith that they could do the same thing with Captain America 3. If that's the case. I don't know if they're like, maybe they're just writing it. I don't know. Either way. I'm a little disappointed, because I was kind of hoping they continue where they're going with this story. Because the way this movie ends is very clearly going to focus on more of the Winter Soldier, which I was curious about, because I'm intrigued where they're going with that storyline. But instead, I feel like this is more an executive decision than a creative decision, but I'm hoping they'll make it work. So, yeah. Next one on this. Number 8. John Wick. Now, this was actually originally, what was that movie that was with that Jake Gyllenhaal? Sleepwalker, I think it was. Was it Sleepwalker? I'm going to look it up. It's going to bug me. See, this is the advantage of having your laptop right by your... No, it wasn't Sleepwalker. What the fuck was it? It's gonna drive me insane. Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler. I was thinking Marvel Heroes, and Sleepwalker is an incredibly obscure Marvel hero, but hey, I read some of those comics. I liked them. But no, this was almost Nightcrawler. But in the end, I decided, you know what? Nightcrawler was a really good movie, but I don't see myself watching it again. But John Wick, on the other hand, is such a goddamn great action movie, and I loved it to pieces. This is another one of those movies that was not really on my radar at all. I think Ron told me a bit about it, and Grant was, of course, got the free tickets so we can check it out. But I didn't know anything about it. I just know Keanu Reeves with guns. Like, I don't know if I want to see this. This is going to be just another generic action movie. I don't know. What we got, my God, it was just blew me away. Just blew me out of the water. And I was just so surprised how much fun I had with it. Just like the way the action is just beautifully choreographed. The world they created with like this really polite secret hotel for assassins was just so much fun, and this is such a great little world they created. It's such a great, clever little world, and ready to really refresh the action hero genre. And not to mention, the action itself is so damn good. No shaky cam. None of that bullshit. It's a straight up, clear shot. You can see what's happening. Except for maybe 1 or 2 parts in the club where, you know, with the flashing lights and everything, it can be a bit disorienting. But even then, it's not that bad. But oh man, it's just so fun to watch, and it's really funny, too. It's really surprisingly funny. Like, this is a good, funny, sharp script. It knew what the movie wanted to be, and it just had a ton of fun with it. It's like, I want to go back, you know? It's like, I want to see more of these characters. I want to see more of the assassin stuff. I want to see more about the hotels and the people in there. I like how everyone just knows each other and is really polite with each other, even though they're all in charge of killing each other. Or not each other, but other people. And, and the villain in this movie is just so fucking funny. I mean, he's not a great physical presence against Keanu Reeves in this movie necessarily. That goes more to Willem Dafoe, who's also good for the small part he plays in this movie. But it has the single greatest O in the history of film. And if you haven't seen the movie, I'm not going to spoil it. If you saw a review, you probably know what I'm talking about. But it is so funny and just so perfectly set the tone of what this movie is. And I loved it to death. I would go watch it again. I think it comes out on DVD later this week, and I'll be like first in line to get it. I can't wait. So yeah, next one on the list. So number 7, which is Boyhood. Boyhood. Yeah, Boyhood, which is just on achievement alone. I'm not achievement alone, just on technical prowess alone, this movie earns a spot on the list. And the fact that, I mean, it's advertised everywhere you go for the movie. It's a movie that they took a kid from the early age and filmed him every few years to create one big story for growing up. And what's more astonishing of the long, what had to be painstaking process in which they did this was the fact that it turned out so fucking good. And it's one of those things, it's not the most dramatic film in the world, it's not the most epic film in the world, it's a very simple story, it's a very simple setup, and I think that's largely why it works, is the fact that, you know, it's not about, like, say, people's drug addiction or their journey towards this or that, it's just about growing up, and the life challenges that comes with that, and on that merit alone, it's great, because by not going anywhere too dramatically, there's much more to relate to. There's a great nostalgic factor to the movie. I think Grant put this much higher on this list than I did, but it's one of those things, I really do think it's one of those movies, anyone can watch it and get something out of it. It's one of those movies. It doesn't feel like it's trying to ram any morals down your throat. It's not like it's not pretending to be anything more than what it is, which is a story about getting older and what that means. I mean, there are dramatic elements, of course, but it's just about these people's lives, and that's what makes it interesting. That's what makes it unique. I mean, well, unique in the way that it's executed, the whole 12 Years thing, because I can't think of any other movie that's ever tried that until now. But man, it's just a good thing this boy grew up to be a good actor, because if he didn't, he would just be fucking screwed. But no, like, everyone's in this movie is really good, and the moments feel really genuine. You can really feel these people's connection with each other, and the highs and the lows, and the fact that this boy's mom has terrible taste in men. Even not Joaquin Phoenix, I'll talk about him next. What is it? Ethan Hawke, I think his name is. Yeah, Ethan Hawke has a really good role in this, and it's just really fascinating to see how these people grow. You become committed in their journey. It's just very easily accessible drama. I think anyone who watched it, maybe it won't fall in love with it, but I think will at least get something out of it, because I think we ended up talking about this in the review, there are just parts in this movie that just bring you back to your own childhood. Like, for me, it was when you get, like, the old Xbox controllers, kind of like what I got here, and they're playing Halo 2 online, and I remember that little dorky headset jack that used to pop on the top of the controller, and I remember how crappy those headphones were. And I remember spending tons and tons of time with my friends online on that thing. So stuff like that, there's something for everyone here, and I think that's really impressive they pulled that off. So... okay, so I accidentally forgot to record number 6, so I'm gonna splice it in right now. I probably could have put this in here without you noticing, but you might as well know what's going on, because fuck it, I feel like being honest. So, here is number 6. This one is kind of a cheat, because it technically came out in like late just 2013, but it didn't get wide release till January, so I'm counting it Her. Now this again comes back to, this is easily one of the best screenplays I have seen in place in a very long time. It's Spike Jonze. Spike Jonze always writes great screenplays. I mean, I still love Where Wild Things Are, okay, what anybody says. But again, this goes the case of just, this is a great, purely emotional movie. Like, of all the movies on this list, this is the one I would argue is pure emotion. And it's the way it talks about how these characters feel and about relationships. And even the world it creates gives off this very, what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't feel so much like a physical place, but whether one that's run by emotions and affections and desires and hopes and failures and disappointments. It feels like the landscape is very, like, open to what these characters are going through. So it's very complementary to what Joaquin Phoenix is going through with his robotic girlfriend, Samantha, played by Scarlett Johansson, who both do fantastic work in here, by the way. But what makes the movie so damn good, though, is just the way they talk about what they're going through in a language I very rarely hear from these kind of movies. I mean, it takes full advantage of its concept, of the concept it's in. It doesn't tell you to, it doesn't necessarily tell you to approve of dating an operating system, nor does it really say you should be scared of it either. It kind of leaves it presents both sides, kind of leaves it up for you to make up your own mind. I mean, I guess it kind of does. It basically says, you know what, if you're enjoying yourself and you're not hurting anybody, then fine, enjoy it. You should allow yourself joy. But there is just a great sincerity and an honesty in a way these emotions are portrayed. I mean, there's a great scene, like, after a date that Joaquin Phoenix goes badly. Samantha's trying to comfort him, and he's talking about how I just wanted someone to fuck, and I wanted someone to want to fuck me, and because I feel like, while I'm not looking for a commitment, that would fill some kind of hole in my heart, but it probably wouldn't. And I can't think of a time anyone's ever said that in a movie before, because it is so true. And again, that comes back to me. A lot of guys, I think, like me and like the main character, have been through that same kind of feeling of, while we can't seem to make a commitment work, we just want something small to fill that void, or at least try to fill that void. And the fact that it communicates that in such an open and honest way was really refreshing. And my God, I think I saw this movie. I saw this movie by myself initially, and it made me tear up. And because, like, there are just great expressions and language and presentation, even the music, while very simple, just get ambiance where it just feels like it elevates all this struggle and how high the highs are and how low the lows are. It's a purely emotional experience where you should need to feel it more than hear it, and feel it more than see it, I guess. I don't know. To me, like, this touched a part of my heart, this touched a part of my emotions that very few movies ever do. And it's also kind of an exhausting experience, to be honest. And it's just great from beginning to end. I don't know. It's like, whenever I'm in a sad mood, I still watch the movie once in a while. And it takes you through the highs and lows every time. It's just so expertly written. A bit weird at times. The way it's written, it can be a bit off-putting at times. It takes a while to get used to. But once you get into it, though, you're just in for the long haul. So, yeah, that's number 6. And now back to the original recording for number 5. Yeah, next movie, number 5, which is The Babadook. Now, The Babadook is one of those... We had to really track this one down. Because, you know, it was me, Wuhan Grant, that saw this one, and we were all on the same page, and we all wanted to go see this movie because we heard great things about it, but it was really fucking hard to find a place that was playing in theaters. I know it's on demand, and I've recommended to a few people who've gone and seen it on demand, But we wanted to get the full theater experience, so we tracked down this middle-of-nowhere theater right across the street from my college campus. And, my God. This is one of the movies that if you can check on theaters, you definitely should. I don't think they're doing it anymore, but I wish it's got a wider release. But this movie was just terrifying. It scared the shit out of me. It scared all of us. Like, even Muha, you know, he's a tough guy. Muha's a tough guy. He was just shrinking in his chair. We were all just, oh my God. Because not only is the monster cleverly executed, and for a good part of the movie, you're not even sure if it's really there, like it's actually real. But from beginning to end, like, this is a pure psychological horror movie. This isn't like Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th, where like, monster, jump scare, cat, I don't know. This is, it's pure psychological. So, like, it's not so much about the monster, so much as about the people's reactions to the monster, and how it slowly warps into their heads, and how it fucks with them over and over again, and just how it just drives them to this insanity point that leads to the terrifying climax. And it's great from beginning to end. Like, there's a great shift, because, like, the mother is this severely depressed woman who constantly misses her dead husband, and the kid is just this really obnoxious child who's very creative, but it just has huge behavioral problems, and the mom just doesn't know what to do. And there's a great shift where, like, halfway through the movie, like, the first half you're going, oh, that poor mom, because she has to deal with her bratty kid. But in the second half, you're like, oh, that poor kid, because the mother just goes fucking nuts. And it's great, and it's terrifying. It's the best horror movie I've seen in years, if not ever. It's fantastic. Like, I haven't had an experience that scary since I started playing Alien Isolation. So, yeah. So there you go. Number 4. Snowpiercer. I'm trying to think. I think this is like our first serious, like, really fucked up movie we saw last year. Came out in the middle of summer, if I recall, and again, this was another one of those movies I didn't know what. I only vaguely knew what it was about going in. I didn't know much about beyond that, so I had no expectations going in, and I was just blown away by it. Because it is a very creative setup, and again, it comes back to very creative execution, and it does kind of delve in. It does fully take advantage of its concept of, you know, the train of, like, the last living people on Earth, and that they're all stuck in a train, and the class warfare and the political commentary and all that stuff is great. Chris Evans, of course, has really just shown how good of an actor he is outside the Captain America series. I mean, even in the Fantastic Four series, you can tell he was still a good actor. He was trying to make the best of what he had with those movies. But, you know, there's only so much he can do. But now, he's really been given a chance to shine here, and it shows. It shows because he's a fantastic fucking actor, and he's fantastic here. From this one, there's a very just unique feel and visual presentation. And it just has so much fun with its concept, and it is not afraid to go to some fucked up places. And if you haven't seen the movie, I'm not going to give it away, but when we saw it, I was just like, oh my God, they're actually going there. So I was very impressed by the movie. The action scenes alone are so uniquely stylized. Like, I would say it's kind of like 300 slow-mo effects, but better. But I feel like that's not doing it justice. I mean, I think it's on Netflix now. You know, it's one of the movies I probably should watch that again. But apparently, this is based on a comic book, from what I understand. But I haven't read it, so I'm just going. I don't know how accurate it is. I don't know how closely it follows in. I just know the only thing that really bothered me about Snowpiercer, and I fully acknowledge it's a nitpick, is I think it was Hilary Swank. No, it wasn't her. There's one character in the movie who's kind of like supposed to be the snobby, the snobby class leader who says, "Why can't you all ruffians be like us? Why can't you understand your place?" and all that stuff. And I hate that stereotype. It bugs the shit out of me. I did not care for her. I was close. Tilda Swinton. Yeah, Tilda Swinton played that character, I think, and I just got really annoyed by her, and I was like, oh, can this character just die and go away? And apparently I'm in a minority on this one. A lot of people liked her, but it bugged me. I couldn't get past it. It really annoyed me. But, yeah, another case of just one of those unexpected joys that I obviously recommend, and it's just one of those movies. It's a very unique comic book movie. It's a very unique feel to it, and it's one of those movies with plot twists and story elements that you're never going to forget. So it's definitely, absolutely worth your time and money. So, next movie, number 3. Dear White People. Now, of all the reviews I have recorded in the past couple years, I think recording this one will ultimately stand as my all-time favorite review, because I feel like, again, this is one of those movies that got a lot wider release than I was expecting, and again, another case of this is not a movie I knew much about going into it. Honest to God, until I watched the trailer, I thought this was a documentary. But no, it's a comedy, and it's a great comedy, because not only is it really funny, but it touches on a lot of serious issues that just go outside what you think it would talk about. Like, it is about race, it is about modern day racism and whether or not it still exists. The answer is yes, it does exist, and more so than we might think it does. And it was very eye-opening for me, because we had Ron, we had Muha on the review for this one, and the reason I love the review we did for this movie was the fact that they just started sharing their own experiences with prejudice, and their own experiences for, you know, what they've had to go through, and the fact that just bring home the fact that, yes, racism is still a problem in America, unfortunately, and just kind of what we can do about it. And I thought that was really an eye-opening for experience me, because I was not aware of that. So I was very, very happy to see all that in there. But the movie itself, though, is very... I have this theory about comedies in general, in that I believe comedy is just the ultimate way to get a serious point across, because comedy is naturally disarming. You're making people laugh, and you're making people want to hear more from you. Therefore, when you put it in a serious message, it has all the more impact, because they're much more open-minded to what you're saying. And Dear White People does that very, very well. I keep using the word very, but in that it is a comedy at its core, but it's talking about very difficult issues, very real issues, and it's not necessarily about how just white people treat black people, but how black people treat other people in their own community, and just it's not even about that. It's like just about almost all different cults and creeds and how they treat each other. You know, like one of the characters, he's the best character in the movie. I think he was like the director or the writer. He had some part to play behind the scenes. And he's a gay black man, but he's not black enough to fit in with the black group, and he's not gay enough to fit in with the gay group, so he's like somewhere in the middle, and he's not accepted anywhere. He's rejected by everyone, and people you think he wouldn't necessarily be rejected by. And it was shocking, because even the theater when we saw it in, you can tell there was still that prejudice, because there's a point where that same character kisses another boy, and we can hear people in our theater start going boo or ew or stuff like that. And it's like, really? Really? And like even Ron, who was with me, was like, that is so not cool. If you're watching this, you know who you are. You should be ashamed of yourself. And yeah, I completely agree. But it's a brilliantly thought out movie, really, really funny, and just filled with great characters, and really opened my eyes to a lot of things I was not aware of. And a movie that can do that is doing something right, because it didn't feel tacked on, it didn't feel forced like a lot of other preachy movies do. It felt like it flowed naturally, and that the message felt genuine. The world it creates in which to present this message feels genuine. It doesn't feel like it's ramming the message down your throat. It feels like more like an honest conversation of what's going on. And it's done in a way where you can be much more open-minded to what the movie's trying to tell you. I mean, I think the most shocking part about the movie is not anything that necessarily happens in the movie. It's what happens immediately after the movie is over, when it goes over to the credits. Because what happens is, like, the whole thing, the movie is like this dumbass fraternity thing decides to have a costume party where you dress up as different races. Which, you know, or no, dress up in blackface, I think it was. And yeah, big shock, that goes terribly wrong. And there's that part where, like, right after it's over, you think there's no way that would ever happen in the real world, and it immediately just shows, like, news clippings of instances where it's actually happened, and it's shocking, and it knocked my hair back. I was like, wow. Wow. So I think of all the movies that we reviewed this year, and all the movies that I'm talking about today, this one is probably the most important, and I think you should go watch it just to gain that perspective, or at least try to understand it. Because with stuff like that, prejudice and all that stuff, I'm not even going to really pretend I can ever understand it, because that is not the lifestyle that I was born into. And that is not the lifestyle that I would ever be born into, because I am white, for all intents and purposes. So I'll never understand what that feels like. And nor would I ever insult anyone who's been through that by pretending to understand it. But I want to listen to these experiences. I want to learn kind of what they go through. So I don't know, I feel like it's important to understand those things, so that way we can help change them as we move forward in the world. And even Ron said himself, he says, like, there's starting to be a shift in that things are getting better, but we can't also just ignore the problem in general. We can't just pretend it's gone. So I think this movie did a great way of bringing that to light, and it's just a great entertaining movie in general anyway. So yeah, number 2, Gone Girl. So Gone Girl was, I think, a David Fincher film where I really just liked the presentation and the way the story is told. Because a lot of it, yeah, the main reason this movie's on this spot on the list is the fact that the story is told so well. And it's done very cleverly, because of course it's David Fincher. I mean, even like his lesser movies like Benjamin Button are still good movies. I'm sure he's made some stinkers, but I can't think of any on top of my head. I bet if I could, if I looked it up. But yeah, I'm not gonna worry about that right now. But yeah, just the way this movie... I mean, the main twist in the movie that happens halfway through, you can see that coming, but I'm not sure that, like, a lot of people are saying this movie is like a message about long-term marriages or long-term relationship. I think the moral of the story is don't put your dick in crazy. But no, just the way that it twists and turns and the way the story's presented, because, like, the movie opens up with, like, the main character, what the hell was the girl's name? Looking that up on Rotten Tomato. Rosamund Pike, who played Amy in the movie. She starts off narration from her and how she met Ben Affleck's character Nick, and it's told like it's very like almost fairy tale-esque quality. And I was like, this feels weird. Why are they doing this way? And then you find out halfway through the movie, and then like that turns more and more disturbing as the story goes forward and the movie goes forward, and you wonder if Nick really did kill Amy or not. And then you find out it was all a ruse. It was written specifically to give off that vibe to make Nick look more guilty. And I thought that was really brilliant how they did that. And the rest of the movie is just fucking insane. This movie is fucking insane, and I loved it. And it's also the only movie where Tyler Perry comes to save the day, and it's a good thing. Because Tyler Perry is really good in this, and I hate myself for saying that. But it's also, like, there's still stuff that bother me about it. Like, the story's not always perfect, drags on a bit too long. I hate that all the news comes from one obviously biased talk show woman. Because apparently no other news outlet exists in that world at all. But it's a great psychological thriller. You can't see where it's going. That's a great, unless you read the book. But it's like, it's always, you can't tell where it's going. You can't see what's gonna happen. And it just keeps you on the air saying, like, how is this gonna end? How are they gonna get rid of this crazy bitch? But it's also a great commentary on, mostly satire, of how we frame blame on people, like how we basically judge these people before they've even been arrested. Like, pretty much, like how we condemn these people before they even had a chance to prove that they're innocent. And just how quickly we jump to judgment and how easy the media is to manipulate. And just all these great satires to it with just really fun characters. And just the story itself, I think, is the main selling point for me. It's like, because it is so well crafted, except maybe for the third act, in which case it gets a little muddled. But even then, from what I understand, that's in the book, so I get why they kept that in there. But it's worth it just for Come On Me Tits. And Tyler Perry, which is, that kills me to say that. It really does. But yeah, I think that's all. You know, maybe I should have put Dear White People in #2 spot. But what's done is done. So, in that case, let's move on to numero uno. Number 1, if you've watched the show and you've been paying attention to movies I have highly praised over and over again, you probably know what this is. Birdman! Fucking love Birdman. Loved it to death. Adored every single second of this movie. My God. Another case of, I saw the trailer and I knew instantly the minute I saw the trailer, this is either going to be brilliant or it's going to be a train wreck. And I'm there either way. And we walked into it and again, I was just astounded. When this movie was over, I was speechless. Me and Cody didn't say a word to each other for a solid 5 minutes. We were just like, wow! Because it's just so clever, and it's so brilliant. And the way it's shot is gorgeous and new. I can't think of a movie that has at least framed it to be one long consecutive shot. I mean, obviously there are cuts. You can, if you pay attention, you can say where they made the cuts. But just the fact they made it from that angle is so different. This movie is very, very different. And it's, again, really funny and really dramatic at the same time. Like, one scene to the next. You just have one really funny moment and you have one really dramatic moment. And again, it just comes down to great satire. It's a great satire on Michael Keaton's career as Batman, kind of where he is now. Well, Michael Keaton's still successful, but then you have Edward Norton, who is making fun of the fact that he's notorious for being hard to work with. And just, oh my God, there's so many good moments in this movie that it's just hard to pick one to highlight. I think, again, without giving anything away, too, because this movie, like, it is such a unique experience. It has to be seen to be believed, because I haven't seen a movie like this before, and I don't think I'm ever going to see a movie like it again. It is a one-time experience, and it's worth every single frame of this movie. I would not cut a second of it. I loved it to death. I really, like, of all movies that I saw this year, this one was like, this is amazing. This is amazing. And I'm so glad I saw this. And I will go see it again. Dear God in Heaven. Birdman, Emma Stone, Michael Keaton, Edward Norton, everyone just knocks it out of the fucking park. It easily the best movie I saw this year. Easily, hands down. I loved it to death. I can't wait for it to come on DVD so I can watch it over and over again. I cannot praise this movie enough. I adored it. I love, like, my favorite line, there's like the part where Michael Keaton has to walk on, through the streets in his tidy whities because he accidentally locked himself out of the theater, and that goes worldwide. He has all these fights with people, and there's that scene where he's talking to his daughter Emma Stone, and Emma Stone just blows up on him. There's a scene where everything's exploding in the streets from, like, Michael Keaton's vivid imagination as, like, the Birdman personas telling him, this is what the people want, not this, they want action, they want explosions, not this deep philosophical bullshit. And just that great self-awareness and great acting from everyone in this movie. The scene with Norman and Emma Stone on the roof and the truth there shit. Oh my God, loved it so much. I think it's still playing in some theaters. You know, I'm tempted to go watch it again because I just, it's Birdman, loved it. Okay, I think I'm just repeating myself now. So there you go, guys. I think I actually forgot to record number 6. So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna splice that in. But yeah, there you go, guys. It's my best movies of 2014. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. What are your top 10 for this year? What movies did you really like? So that being said, that's it. We do have one more video in the work. The worst video is done, by the way. I'll probably upload that shortly after I upload this one. But me and Sarah also counted down the top comic book movie. Like, we rated the comic book movies since we got so many of them last year. We rated them from worst to best from last year. So look out for that video too when I'm done with it. In the meantime, guys, thank you all for watching. Hopefully we'll have just as good of a year this time. So far it's been a mixed bag, so we'll see. Thank you all for watching, and bye.